Well, Somalia is widely considered to be a failed state, but after those 2 decades of conflict and militant Islamist rule, the country is now working to rebuild itself. With me here in the studio is the country's Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, Fawzia Yusuf Adam. I'll be speaking with her in just a moment, but first, I want to bring you this report from Mogadishu. CNN's Namel Bagir travelled through the city with African Union forces.
Smoke rises above the streets of Mogadishu. Passers-by gather to pull bodies from under the blood-spattered rubble. It's a car bomb aimed at the Minister of Interior's convoy. Inside, escape injury, but at least 8 civilians are killed. The attack is quickly claimed by Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda-linked militant group. It no longer controls much of the city, as it once did, but can still make its presence felt. Troops of the African Union force here cordon off the area to guard against a second blast. Normal life quickly resumes. The people of Mogadishu are used to bomb attacks, and as we travel through town with the AU force, we barely merit a second glance. Since Al-Shabaab's withdrawal from Somalia about a year and a half ago, Mogadishu has become a very different place, but there is still a terror threat. Suicide attacks, roadside bombs, increasingly complex tactics, and African Union patrols like these are crucial for maintaining security. But the question has started to be asked, is this sustainable? The security gains here are still fragile. Somalia's security forces, underpaid and under-equipped, are limited in number, and their presence doesn't extend far beyond this capital. Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud took office 6 months ago, and this is how he travels. With an entourage of well-armed men and a convoy of armoured vehicles. Even that can't guarantee his safety, but that doesn't seem to bother the man with arguably one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. We're traveling with the Somali president's convoy inside one of the African Union escort vehicles that's accompanying him. The president has decided that he wants to head out to Denele on the outskirts of Mogadishu, one of the remaining areas in which Al-Shabaab has managed to maintain a presence. In spite of the attack on the Minister of Interior's convoy less than 2 hours ago, the president is keeping an appointment to attend a hotel opening. You insisted, against the advice of many of those around you, on coming here today. Why?
They attempted my life the second day I was elected. See? And continuously I'm living under that threat. But I don't see it. It deserves it. It's worth of taking that level of risk. If I remain indoor and I say I don't go out, that's their success. I want to prove, and I mean it, that they cannot keep us the way they want. We are the ones who decide what we do, when we do, where we do it.
Mahmoud doesn't underestimate the challenge, but insists one day Somalia must eventually take responsibility for its own security.
We need a financial commitment, technical support commitment, and we need diplomatic engagement in Somalia. We want Somalia to be treated as a normal country. Unless we are treated as a normal country, Somalia will never become a normal country. That's what we are expecting from the world.
As night falls, the city streets empty. Under the watchful eyes of the African Union night shift, Somali National Army soldiers man one of the hundreds of roadblocks that spring up after dark. The attack earlier in the day was at this very junction. Everyone is on edge. Security patrols, roadblocks, and never-ending vigilance are the price of the city's freedom from Al-Shabaab's control. Somalis are daring to believe that after 22 years of anarchy, a new Somalia is emerging from the rubble. And they're risking their lives to prove it. Namel Bagir, CNN, Mogadishu.
Well, Fawzia Yusuf Adam is the Somali Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, and the report we have just seen highlights really just how far Somalia has come. And we heard there your country's president talk about how it wanted to be treated as a normal country, that it needed funding in order to be seen as a normal country to get to that point. Today you saw a doubling of funding for the police force, more than $200 million from Britain, and more than $40 million more from the US, and they've already given millions and millions of dollars. Is that going to be enough for Somalia to be able to take over its own security?
Somalia is a very rich country. It has a lot of potential, and actually the key to unlock that is support and recognition. Now we are getting that. We have come a long way. We have defeated Al-Shabaab, not fully, they're still there, but we are actually, in our security is increasing by the day.
And how do you intend to defeat the remainder of Al-Shabaab, the pockets that are in Mogadishu? And what of the people who were members of Al-Shabaab? What of their fate? Can they be incorporated into the new Somalia?
Of course, we are even willing to talk to them. A number of them are defecting the young people. These are mainly young people who are hired because of lack of opportunities and lack of jobs because of the long-term conflict that we had. We are, as I said, Somalia is a very rich country, and if now, luckily, the embargo was lifted recently, and we are now working on our army, we are integrating our soldiers, and the world, the partners are supporting us. So,
you know, I was outside Lancaster House today where that conference was taking place, and there were several hundred Somalis, people living in Britain, demonstrating against your president. Some accused him of being very close to Al-Shabaab, and others said that he wasn't prepared to implement a federal constitution for Somalia as he should. What do you say to, first of all, the connections with Al-Shabaab?
There's no connection between Al-Shabaab and President Hassan Sheikh. That is not right, that's not true, and everybody knows that. Hassan Sheikh is not a fundamentalist fighting for whatever they are fighting for. Hassan Sheikh is a president who is genuine, who has been there for 20 years, who has worked so hard to reach where he is today.
And to those people who say that he's not implementing the federal constitution, that there are only little parts of the country that he's actually in control of or that will be incorporated into the government?
I would say these are not right. These are not saying the right, or don't know about the right information, what's happening in the ground. The Constitution, we have a selected parliament, an elected president, an elected president of a parliament. They are collectively working on reviewing the Constitution. And he is in control of the whole country, except few pockets run by Al-Shabaab.
Well, that again begs the question again. Will Somalia, with all this funding, be able to run its own security?
It will.
All right.
With,
a year from now?
The help, a year from now, we are all envisioning that Somalia will be independent from Al-Shabaab and the likes, and will be running its own. It's a very rich country. We have...
Okay, you've made that point already many times. May I ask you, though, about really a very dreadful part of your country's image worldwide. I mean, you are one of 2 women cabinet members in Somalia, which is wonderful for women in your country, but yet something like 1,700 women were raped last year in displacement camps by men in government uniforms. And this was something that was introduced by Al-Shabaab, the rape of women. It's something that's managed to continue and hasn't been eradicated. What assurances can you give the international community as well about, not to mention these women specifically, about their future security? Because it's really all about security. It's not just arms, it's also about civil society.
Somalia is coming out of over 20 years, maybe even 30 years of conflict. And that's a classic, what happens in countries that are emerging from conflicts. But we are committed to fighting for the human rights of women, girls, and everyone else in the country. We are reforming the justice, we are reforming the security forces, we are we're only 6 months old.
All right, a final question. What would you say to those many, many expats, Somali expats around the world who left because of the 20 years of conflict and who may be opposed to your government? What does Somalia hold for them?
We are welcoming everyone. With high numbers of diaspora also from these groups are coming back, rebuilding the country. The country is so, it needs everyone else, and it's a democratic country. They can come, join the politics, be part of the business community that are investing in the country. We welcome them, and we invite them even to come back and take part of the country reconstruction and development.